I think there was an interesting notion there of the gender aspects or the inclusion of young women also in the activities. Perhaps we can take that up, and actually I'm trying to move to the next slide because I think we're done. Yes, thank you. So perhaps we can start then, also looking at time, with the broader discussion that we aim for. I was wondering if Benjamin, you or perhaps some of the other speakers can share a bit more insight into the exact young people that were, on the one hand, directly involved in the Participate campaign, and a bit of background like on what their role was. That would be very interesting. And then a second point would be looking at your awareness raising, your awful activities. What kind of young people have you reached? Do you have any insight in their specific backgrounds, for example? Do you see, for example, specific groups in society? I think those 2 points are very interesting for others to hear more on.
Okay. Yes. Well, so there are ways around. Our politics is also evolving. In fact, fortunately for us, if you realize, for this past election, there were actually young people who went to parliament. In fact, we actually had our youngest ever, who was about 23 years old, who went to parliament. And that is what is happening. We are evolving. And what we have to do is to just look at what is happening, get the statistics, and really have some mental shift. Have programs that can actually get young people involved, not just on the partisan bit, because of course, like it or not, you have to join a political party to get into parliament and all of that. But young people who stay on the issues, you know, and know that whatever it is, this is about us and it's about our future. And I think that could really help in shaping the future of our politics, particularly getting them to even go to our rural areas and all of that. And we, like what the Participate did, like the regional component that really talked about, we actually had the various aspects of young people from across board, you know, not just some quote unquote educated university or tertiary students, but there was like the Junction Mall concert, you know, that was actually held in a near slum community, more or less, not typically, but the area. No, I mean, it's like, no, that area, Nungwa, it attracted all kinds of young people, you know, and that for me was very important. The fact that they came out there, they got the message, and of course the message was not all in English, it was in Twi, it was in Ga. You had artists from their own community who came and sang in the languages that they could understand. So that's Karim.
So, Ralph, a bit that I will add is, if you look at the tools that were used for engagement, choosing music, entertainment, this is something that young people identify with so much across board, irrespective of people's social status within our context. And for the primary TV station that we collaborated with, the Viasat 1, now they have changed their focus anyway, but it was known for its entertainment content. And they had, now it's DHR, okay. They had, they were well known for their entertainment content, and they had a program, what was the name, Rudy, what was the name of the program which we wrote on the back? I mean, this was a block. It was blocked.
Oh, no, so we had a block.
Yes, okay.
We had a block on 2 channels.
Okay, so they had a block period on 2 channels where, I mean, it's just music. They talk about entertainment. And that is the slot that we used for, showing this the content of the campaign. So people who already will tune in, young people across board who will tune in to listen and watch these music videos were more or less a captive audience. And they cut across all kinds of, social strategy that you can think of, and so it went very wide, and people could see people that they could easily identify with, and these were their stars, star artists that they were seeing on TV. EL, the artist of the year, was there in the musical clip that the song, a very popular group, VVIP, I mean, was part. You talk about Miss V, a dance hall artist. I mean, and a lot of big names and also rising stars were all part of these. So once they see these people who they adore so much, their heroes, taking part in this campaign, it's sort of, the message just catches on with them. Okay. I'm sorry if I can get your first question again.
So there were two questions. The one that we addressed was what kind of young people were engaged with, and then the concrete role of young people themselves in the participation in the Participate campaign. So yes, they were reached by the various events, by music. Did they also have a specific role that they played themselves? And can you elaborate on that?
Okay. All right, so I mean, the question to us is, did young people themselves have any role in playing? I will start, but I will give it to my colleagues to continue. I mean, to start with, all these people that we are talking about, they are very young people. They are very, very young people. I think I'm the oldest. Yes, if you know what I'm talking about. I mean, these were people 35 downwards. You get it? And some were very young, I mean, in their early 20s or even late teens. And I'm not talking about just being a target of our advocacy, being participant, organizers, those developing the content, those organizing these town hall meetings, I mean, those performing the music in the concert and the rest. So it was youth-centered. Driven, if you read the the synopsis, is that it is a campaign for the youth, driven by the youth. So it's not like some old puppies and mommies sitting somewhere and deciding something for the youth. No, they were driving their own campaign. So I mean, at least from my perspective, but others are here. They can also share what they saw in terms of what the young people did themselves in the campaign.
I think from like a role perspective, so what our campaign was sort of a wake up, the people that it brought us into contact with, it was sort of a wake up to the call that you are part of the conversation. So for us, they were amplifying whatever that we were putting out. People were taking it up on themselves. I mean, we didn't use influencers in this. They became our own amplifying net on social. We put out the message, they pick it up, they share. We put it out in Takoradi. When we put out that we were coming, somebody went to the Polytechnic, organized a team of students and brought them to the venue as part of the project. And that was just they doing their thing. We didn't have any part to, and then again, the concert. Once we put the stage out there and put out the poster and tweet that it was going to happen. All we needed to assemble was the gear. The rest of it, nobody had anything really. They just turned up for the, which means that there's some latent capacity that can be tapped into. And once you show direction, people are ready to follow. For me, that's from a role perspective, that's what I saw.
Great.
It's a very interesting perspective now on also the importance of role models. That's very interesting to hear, and of course, so nice that young people are the drivers of the campaign itself, not just the voters, but really driving the campaign, the Participate campaign, and also aiming to influence the politicians. Looking at time, perhaps we can move to the last discussion point. And Andre, if there's anything on the Google Doc, please share. But for now, let's move to the last point. And I think that's also a very nice, actually, way of ending the various speakers. Oh, hang on. There's one question. Please go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, there is 3 questions, actually. There is, Magali was asking, no, you already answered that. There's Salif in Burkina Faso was asking, what does the law says in Ghana about the minimum age requirement to be elected at the parliament? And we have a second question from Aziz asking, how was the campaign finance?
Sorry, we didn't get the last part of the second question.
Finance.
Campaign finance.
Yeah, how did you finance the campaign?
Okay, that's a beautiful question. Great. Okay, so the first one, in Ghana, the voting age is 18, but to stand for election as a member of parliament, you must be at least 21 years.
And we have a youngest parliamentarian.
Yes, who is
actually,
I think 23, right?
23 years.
The youngest MP member of parliament we have now is 23 years. Maybe, yeah, it's a young woman. Yeah, still a student actually. She just graduated. Okay, she just graduated. I hear she just graduated. So that is it. Wow, you asked a very important question in regards to how did we finance this? So you might have heard Benjamin talking about the fact that this whole campaign was organized within a short period of about 2.5 months, a maximum 3 months. And it's all because we had the ideas, we didn't have money. The ideas that we were putting forward, even within Oxfam itself, sounded a bit crazy, and people were struggling to wrap their heads around it as to how we're going to do this and keep it non-political, and also being worth worth the money that will be invested in it, whether we achieve anything at all. So at a point we had the approval. It was actually a competition, internal competition that was put forward to get some funding from Oxfam America. And we won. There were 2 of us who were selected, a group, the team in Dominican Republic and Ghana. Out of 90,000, they gave us 60,000 and gave those guys 30,000. So our base budget was 60,000 to start with. But we have to share this with all the other partners, all the other partners. So we had to leverage on other grants that are in the system already. So it's okay, because you are implementing this activity already, can you take 10,000 and do this extra thing to be able to get to the result that we are targeting? And I must say, the generosity that was displayed by the artists and the ingenuity also displayed by Muse themselves, being able to go out there and convince this very popular, because if these guys are to charge commercial fees, I bet you they will break our accounts. We will not be able to pay for it. Yes, we simply can't pay for it. So they were, magnanimous enough to want to be part of this process, to volunteer their time and their energies and efforts, and to drive this campaign. I think that is what won the day. In terms of budget, we can put together the figures, but I would say we didn't spend more than 100K at the end of the day. We did more? Okay, fine. About 120, I'm told. But it is, if you look at the fact that it's multifaceted and it involved a lot, if you compare it to other grants that we make and what we got out of this within that short period, I'll tell you, is value for money. We have more than our money's worth of the investment that we made in this campaign. Yeah. Yeah. And the funny part of this is that after we have distributed all the money to the partners, we didn't have money to launch it, to launch the campaign. So we didn't launch the campaign. We had the campaign. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing these insights. And very impressive to hear of the very short turnaround now of the 2.5 months. I was thinking of something like a year, so this is amazing to hear.
No, we spent the money like late May, June. Then we drew the work plan, but the money won't come. So we got the green light around the end of August. So we did September, October, November, and the election was on December 7th.
Okay.
So you can imagine.
Yeah, the workload that came with that. Looking at time to wrap things up a bit, I will invite one person, and you can decide who that's going to be, to talk for around 5 minutes maximum about what has happened after the elections. So yes, the elections have happened, and then the promises were made, and then how now are they hold to account? And you already mentioned, of course, the Citizens Manifesto. I'm sure that will play a key role. And after the answer, let's invite Magali to wrap things up.
Okay, great. So I will start, Richard will talk, and Ruddy will also talk, but I'll make it very, very short. So what we have done is that we are consolidating all the commitments that were made, particularly by the party that won the election. So the issues that we were pushing for, our advocacy asking education, health, jobs, is the improving the, entertainment industry and all that. We are consolidating all of them, those that they sign up to. And we are going to develop something like a dashboard to monitor how government is delivering on this. We'll use it as a tool to hold government accountable. That is in the pipeline. Now, Muse is developing a follow-up to the campaign. It will be a lot more of radio and TV based, but the youth will be the ones who will be doing the monitoring. They will be engaging public, policymakers on how they are delivering on these commitments. So, I mean, Ruddy can talk to that. They've named it NEXT, NXT. And Ruddy can just talk about that briefly.
So this is to actually, you know, at the tail end of it, we're asked a big question by Richard and Karim that how do you track? How do you do all of this? And we developed this campaign to actually start to put a tracker on every campaign promise, every conversation that was had. So next is supposed to look into what the government is doing in all the key areas that we spoke of, in jobs, in education, and in health. What are the improvements? What was the impact of these policies? I mean, we are actually already tracking something at the back, but this TV and radio packaging is going to go into the field, engage with policymakers, and engage with young people in the areas that they spoke of to see whether indeed it is as it is. It would interest you to know that yes, one of the campaign promises have been fulfilled with the free SHS, which is a high school, free high school, right?
Yes.
Yeah, senior high school, yeah, education, which has been launched. But the kinks in it are questionable all over. You know, a little bit of research into developing that parents say we want to pay, the government insisting it's free. And then you've got the school authorities who are sitting there and say, we haven't received any grants, so your ward is technically in school and there's nothing for us to use to feed them. So we want to explore some of these areas that you launch a policy for policy's sake, or you're implementing it. What's the impact on it? So those are some of the areas that next will be looking at. When they put the policy out, what is being done about it? Where are we with it, and how the impact is being felt on the area of target. So this will be packaged as a TV project, because we understand TV, and again as a radio component to be developed and put on radio.
Great. Mr. Richard is here.
Okay, in addition to what Ruddy just said, another component we are looking at is what we're calling Year of Agric campaign. One of the key things that we engaged on the elections was around jobs. So the youth unemployment rate is high. The current government, as part of its commitments, was looking at how to address the youth unemployment situation, but creating jobs using agriculture. So they have this program they're calling Planting for Food and Jobs. So the basic idea behind the Year of Agric campaign is to see how we can encourage a lot more youth to see agriculture as a vocation that they can get involved in, that is profitable, that is, I mean, something that's very attractive that you need to engage in. So basically what we're going to do is to deploy entertainment as a tool to get the youth interested in agriculture, but also using young guys who are already engaged in agriculture as models to be able to promote this particular component of it. But the other element is to use it as a platform that could help us monitor government's commitment in agriculture and how it's delivering on those policy programs or whatever that they want to pursue so far as the agricultural sector is concerned. So it's going to be youth-driven. The two initiatives are going to be youth-driven. But one of the things we also want to do is not just have youth talking about the issues and others, but also getting the youth to show examples. So how do we use, for instance, music as a tool for development, where people use music, young guys use music to raise funds and are actually engaging in districts and doing real initiatives that could serve as an example of how it is feasible for the youth to basically show the government how things could be done. So these are some of the things we're looking at in terms of the next steps beyond the broader engagement we had around elections with the youth.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. It's very exciting to hear everything. Monitoring dashboard to new campaigns using role model ideas for young people. I think I feel a new webinar coming up in due time, but you never know. But for now, let's wrap it up here at the bit of the end. There's one question left that just came in from Nicholas, and he is asking, can you give us some examples of the strategies that the 23-year-old parliamentarian has used to make her voice heard and to also present more the general young people's voice? It's already something we see in action.
The social media.
No, I mean, talking about the strategies that the young people use.
Well, social media was a key campaign strategy. And then, of course, there was some cash involved. The thing is, to really get there, you have to first of all win the primaries of your political party. And people were actually shocked that she went to the primaries and beat very experienced politicians. They could not, believe it. But once she won the primaries, the rest was based, because this was a constituency that generally votes for a particular political party. And she stood on the ticket of that political party. And once she won the primaries, the rest was just trying to get her message. But I think the challenge for her was combining her, because she's also studying to become a lawyer. Yeah. And she really had to combine that with campaigning and all of that. And that was amazing. Of course, as I said, she used the social media and used her friends. From the little we gathered from the campus where she was. She just graduated and did that. Of course, since she's been in Parliament, she's been quiet. But that's usually like a baptism for new parliamentarians. Once they come, they are schooled through different processes and through the various committees in Parliament. And then they are able to then push them to different places. And I think that strategically, they decided since she was in school, they will let her finish program and then begin to put her in the limelight as well. So those are some of the things that.
Ronald, I think general observations, based on the outcomes of the last election also, is that people are beginning to get tired of the old politicians who have been in office for so many years and have not made any serious impact in their constituencies or whatever positions of responsibility they have been given. So we saw that a lot of young people, the parliament now is made up of many, many young people who were able to unseat seasoned politicians. It happened in both the two major political parties, especially during the primaries. They were defeated. They defeated very senior politicians in their parties. And so if it turns out to be a stronghold of their party, then automatically they go ahead to win the election. And so for the young, for us, our responsibility will be to take these guys up and say, hey, what are you doing with the mandate that the people have given you? If you go the same old way, then you might as well be booted out, just as your predecessors. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a very positive note to end up on. No, also more young people, more and more young people in Parliament. I think that's really great news. From my side, I would like to thank everyone, all the speakers of today, for all your sharing of experiences, best practices, and lessons learned. It was very interesting, and thank you so much also for engaging with the questions and the discussion points. I want to thank all the participants that joined today, and I would now like to ask Magali for some final closing words. But from my side, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Ronald. Thank you, everyone. Oxfam Ghana, we can congratulate you. You held the first African webinar for the YAK community. So I would like to thank all of the guest speakers and the team of Oxfam Ghana for having this event and making it a success. Thanks to Ronald, the facilitator, and Dre as a moderator, and very insightful session. I've learned a lot on youth engagement, and I believe other countries can really get inspired by that. We're going to make sure that for those who didn't attend, they'll have the recording available on our website, Facebook page, the group Oxfam Youth Program. It's a closed group, but this discussion, we would like the discussion to continue on that group. So thank you very much, everybody. And so we really would like for you, all the participants, to remain in touch so that it continues the conversation. Thank you very much.
Okay, Magali, I mean, you can tell everyone too that we have a lot of materials on these. There are videos of the town halls that were held, and there's a composite one that sort of summarizes all that the campaign is about. Then the reports that the independent monitor also produced. All these are materials that are available to share, and we have a more comprehensive PowerPoint presentation also that captures what worked, what didn't work, and what the policy wins were, and all that, which we can all share so that people can, in their own time, go through.
And make sure there's going to be a box for the webinars, and also on the Facebook group as well. It's a closed group, so it remains for Oxfam Youth partners and Oxfam staff. All right.
Okay. So Richard is playing you the campaign song. Richard is playing you the
yes.
campaign.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I don't think it's working, or is anyone able to hear?
You give the YouTube link.
Do you want to send the link? Is it a YouTube video?
Yes. Yes, we will send you the link. So you can
yes,
share
and
it.
just put it on the chat so people can click on it. Okay. Just send it over on the chat so people can go and listen to it by their own. Oui, c'est le gars. All right, thank you guys. We're gonna be watching it. Okay, bye bye. Okay, have a nice evening, everyone. Bye bye. Thanks, Ronald.
Bye bye. You're welcome. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Okay, bye guys.
And this is mostly in the private areas, for the 3 northern regions, where there are even no infrastructure. So what we do is just organize the school, children of school going and restrict them until they reach a level where they can enroll into formal school system. Okay. So if you are online and reading clubs, that will be fantastic. It'll be great. So what will we? We set up a meeting to solve our education need. They will have a lot of ideas. And we'll see how we can complement.
Yes. I think for us, it's also not just about the academic, but also opening up the
Okay, please. So we can go to okay.
Yeah.
No, that's not.
I mean, you'll be here for short. That is one thing also.
Once he has a buy, see, look at Madeline's. Oh, it's gone.
Yeah, sorry.
It's right. She's coming to Ghana first and second morning. We are this African Summit, Youth Summit on
SDGs.
Oh, really?
Yes, so you
How many of them do you think Ghana is
Okay.
Well, our president is what? The president is what?
Is the co-chair.
Co-chair of eminent whatever
of the SDGs. Yes.
when they set it like 20 million.
Yeah.
On the quiet side, this is what they haven't have is one takes one. I don't have a copy of it. I was working in the evening. That's why I produced it. It's actually quite very inspiring.
Okay. This microphone. Oh, okay.
Especially through the education. So I develop content together in platforms and then you set up the sort of
So he's been doing a lot of the documentation and stuff.
And do Emma. Okay, so